Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Indian Gurukul, and in this particular lecture of the Java series we will be starting with the topic Swing and Abstract Window Toolkit, and we will be covering starting point of the Abstract Window Toolkit in this particular lecture. So if you are a programmer and you have used programming language like C, you must have experienced that although you can make programs, you can write code in C programming language, but you have not got a graphical interface in that, or if you want to make a graphical application, if you want an application which is interactive, that feature is lacking in a programming language like C. Suppose if you want to create a calculator like the calculator which has already been provided to us in this Windows, or if you want to create any other application like the modern day applications which we use, so all those applications are having the graphical interfaces. But if you are a programmer and you are writing code on using the C programming, then you generally use the console screen, the black screen, and you basically interact on that screen only. You provide your inputs on that screen, and you get your output also on the console screen. So when Java came into existence in the year 1995, it had included a package which is the AWT package, which is there inside the Java.awt package, which provided the programmer with the classes that could be used to create the graphical applications. It made the life of the programmer very easy. The programmers could now make the applications which have the graphical interfaces, the components, and the windows in it very easily. So you know that first of all you need to have a window on which you can have different components. So what Abstract Window Toolkit, what this particular package, the java.awt package, provides is that it provides with some pre-existing codes in the form of the classes, and we just need to instantiate the objects of those classes and add those objects onto our program to make our program look and feel. We can make our program interactive to the user by using all these classes. So like we have the button class, which is used to create the button. If you want to create a button in your application, then you could use this class. If you want to create a label, then you could use the label class. If you want to make a text field into your application, then you can use this class. And for text area, there are several other components which you could make. You could make the slider, you could make the radio buttons. In fact, there is a full guide of the components which you can use, which is there on the website. So you could use all these components. Actually, these components which I have just searched on the internet are for the Swing Swing package. So Swing basically is a newer version which is used, and it is basically having some new features which makes the application appearance better than that of the AWT, and it is also having some qualities over AWT which makes it important for the programmer to use Swing over AWT wherever possible in the modern day. And so we will not be discussing Swing right now in this particular lecture, but since these components the list of these components was easily available, so I have searched them. Like we can use the J button whenever we use these components in the form of the Swing component, then we just include a J in front of the component name. In case of AWT Abstract Window Toolkit, the name is button, name is only the J is missing. So this is the slider. the radio button, the menu, the spinner. Many components are new which are there only in the swing and are not there in the abstract window toolkit. So this way you could include these components in your application. So before including all these components, you need a particular window. So we can say that we need a container on which we could add all these components. So these containers we need to create first of all, and for this reason let's start with some programs which I've written. So this is the first program which I've written, and it's a program which is based on the Abstract Window Toolkit, and we have included the Abstract Window Toolkit package, that is the java.awt package, into it, and the name of the class we have written is the AWT1. So in this class what I'm doing is that I am just creating object of the class frame. This class frame is provided to us in the AWT package. It is a container, so it just provides a window to us. When we create an object of this class, we just get a window, so we get a graphical interface, and we can place the other components onto this container. So for that reason this is also known as a container. There are two more containers which are frequently used, but we will not be discussing or covering those containers right now. We will be just considering this frame. So let's now try to compile and run this program. So now the name of the program is AWT1.java. So we have successfully compiled this program. Also one more thing is that we are using a method over here. Let's first of all comment this method and save this program, and then we will be uncommenting this program later. And so let's recompile it first of all once again, and then now we are going to run this program. So you can see that we have although we have successfully compiled and run our program, but we are not getting any output. The reason being is that a frame or a window which we are getting by using the frame is by default set to is invisible by default, so its visibility is by default set to false. And if you want to view that window, then we must use this method, which is the setVisible method, and we should set the visibility of the frame to true. What this will do is that it will be setting the visibility of our frame to true, and now our frame would be visible to us once we are going to compile and rerun this program. So now you can see that there is something which is appearing over here on the extreme top, although this is not very good appearing, but we are getting this. So this is a window which we are getting, but it is not having any size right now. It's the minimized one, and if we try to resize it, then we are just resizing it, and we could finally conclude that yes, we have got a window. So we've got this because we have instantiated the object of the frame class. Now what we should do is that we are going to just close this program, and we are going to move towards another program. So now let's see one more program, which is the second program which I've written. In this program, in addition to the frame object, I have created an object of the button class. So button now is not a container. Frame was a container and the button is a component. So this component we could place on the container like frame. Frame was providing us with a window. Now this button is going to provide us with a button, and we would be having a text on that button which would be like click. So click would be written on our button, and once we have created this object, we need to add that button onto our frame. So for that reason we will have to use this method, which is the add method, and we are using this method to add this particular button onto our frame. And let's first of all comment this particular line, and this line, you know that what's the reason why we are writing this setVisible, because we want that the frame should be visible to us. Now let's try to first of all compile and run this program. So the name of the program now is AWT2.java. Now let's try to run this program. Now you could see that we are again getting this thing, and we are also getting a button in our application now, but this time again, and this window was minimized, so which wasn't giving happiness to us. So what now we will do is that we are going to use another method, which is the set size method, which is going to set the size of the frame which we have created, and it would be providing a default size to our frame. So now this our frame will be having size 400, 500. Now let's try to recompile and rerun our program. Let's start a second. Now this is now you could see that and the window is having its own size now. So this is making us happier, and this is a button. You can see that when I'm clicking, it is giving some reaction, so we can feel that the button has been clicked. We try to resize. Now we can see that the button is taking the complete size, and we will be solving this problem later, but now let's move towards another program. Now we are heading towards this program. In this particular program, what we have done is that we have used a method which is the setBounds method, and now what this method would do, this will be setting the bounds of the B object, which is the button object. So what 0 is the starting point on the x-axis, the 100 is the starting point on the y-axis, and this 400 is the width of the button, and this 300 is the height of the button. The rest all is the same which was there in the previous program. One more thing which we have done is that we have used a method which is the set layout method, and we have set the layout to null. And although if we are not going to use this method, then also our layout would not be there, and the default layout would be used. So now let's try to compile and run this program. The name of this class is AWT3, and this particular, let's go to the directory. Now we have okay, it is saying that we have changed a line, and we went save that. So let's save first of all. Now let's okay, there is some problem. Let's try to check that what's the problem is. I don't think so that there is any problem in this program. The only reason could be, okay, actually there is no problem in the program. I have not used the dot. Instead of dot, we have done the comma. For that reason we were getting this error. Now let's try to run this program. Now you could see that now our button is placed at a very reasonable position as compared to the previous one. And if we just try to resize it, if we try to resize our button, and suppose we started from 100 and just ended to just provide the size to 200. So let's save. I've saved this program, and let's try to recompile and rerun. Now you could see that our button is looking somewhat better. In this way we could create a simple window, and we could just place components onto it. We could also place some other components. If we want to place the text field, we could also place that. We can position that text field. This all we will be covering later, but let's first of all cover the points which have been written by us. So we know that this Abstract Window Toolkit is used by the programmers. It was written and included into the Java package, into the Java software, and it provided the facility of creating the graphical user interface applications. So this, as I've already discussed, this was there in the first version of the Java, which was there in the year 1995, the Java 1.0, and this package was included. The java.awt.star package was included into that, and later on Swing package and classes of Swing were included, which were having better appearance and better features than that of Abstract Window Toolkit. It provides us with the components, like we have used the component, now button component we have used. So it provides us with the GUI, graphical user interface components, which we can use in our programs. Some of the components are the button, the label, text field, and text area, which we have written, and we can just add these components by the classes by instantiating the objects of these classes. And we need to first of all import this package into our program, which is the java.awt.star package, and it would allow us to use the GUI classes which are there. And like we have created this button in our example, and after that we know that this Abstract Window Toolkit was since it was in the first version of the Java, in this particular case, the Abstract Window Toolkit, the components appear depending upon the operating system which has been used, and it uses the resources of the operating system. For this reason we say that it is a heavyweight. So all these components are heavyweight because these components use the resources of the operating system, and this problem of resources being used was removed when Swing was created, and the features were also not operating system dependent for that reason, and Swing is therefore a lightweight version, and its appearance of the components doesn't depend on the operating system, and it also doesn't use the resources of our operating system. One last thing which one should also do is that in these programs, if we just write over here something, okay, like we say that my frame. So what this will do, that let's save this program. This is the AWT third program, Now let's try to recompile and rerun this one, and let's see the difference. That what's the difference if we pass a string into it. Now you could see that there is a title which is there in our frame, and it is my frame. So this acts as a title to our frame. The string which we pass into our frame constructor of the frame object is just acts as a title to our frame. So I think that that's all for the day, and we would be covering the remaining things from the next topic next lecture onwards. So this would be a very big series. Hopefully you have learned something, and you will be learning the remaining things from the upcoming lectures. Thank you very much for watching. Also subscribe to my lecture Indian Gurukul on YouTube.